There we go, Dave. Just about on time, which is good. And Dave's like, I'm going to scratch that one.
I just thought of another one.
Have you? Great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it because it'll give it away when we haven't been told them what it is yet.
Give it away. Give it away now. Right. Let's have a look. Let's check. The usual first thing that we do on the Tuesday tune-in on this lovely Easter weekend-ish Tuesday.
Easter weekend Tuesday.
Easter weekend-ish because it's just after.
Oh yeah,
just that week, Easter week. There we go. We're live. Happy days. We are live. Great to see everyone on. Obviously, the usual as people are joining us, and Dave's losing his pen.
Yeah, I can't do it very well. The flicking.
It's usually we're doing this. It's kind of getting ready for the live. Yeah, it'd be great to see who's on. So yeah, drop a comment or emoji, whatever. Actually, last week people were posting like GIFs or stickers or something. So yeah, have a little. Be creative, guys. Be creative.
Did we have one? Did we do a TTI? We did do a TTI last week.
Wow, Dave, where have you been?
I know it's been. Do you know what it is? We've missed a few, and it's been so long. Such a weekend, you know, that like I feel like I've had another week off.
It has felt like a quite a long period of time.
Yeah.
But great to see people on. Who we got then? We got Angus, Evertrack, of course, Horseback Yeti here.
Dazza.
Hey Sophie, how you doing? We got Dave, we got Bry, how you doing? Andrew, bot on the time here. How you doing? Darren, great to see some Evertrack veterans from the years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today, something a little bit different. We thought we'd chat about some of the things that some of the kind of topics and conversations, some of the myths, if you call them, of trekking at high altitude. Because there's lots of people say lots of different things, and a couple of weeks ago we were at the National Outdoor Expo, and there were it's interesting conversations. You get people on different parts of the journey. You get people who have only just heard about kind of high altitude, and maybe they're into trekking and walking in the UK, but haven't really gone on the big stuff.
Yeah.
And then you've got people obviously on the far end of the spectrum, like we were talking to some people who have actually summited Everest and have been through the whole journey at high altitude. And it was interesting to hear some of the comments and some of the things that come from people who don't really know a lot about altitude, or not educated as such. And some of the things they said, and obviously you're trying to educate them then, in terms of a conversation around actually this is what it's like.
Well, it's also the stuff you see in the news. There's often a lot of stuff in the news, that says, certain things about sort of Everest. Yeah. Whenever Everest is involved, they know they're going to get sort of clicks, likes, and people are going to buy things to read. Yeah. But some of that might be accurate, some of it might be less accurate. So we thought to ourselves, well, why don't we have a little a list of things that are in that vein?
Exactly.
Things that people think they know, or rather, no, they don't know. And we're going to tell them whether they know it or they don't know it.
Well, you only know what you know.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah. So, like, do they know that do they know what they know, or do they not know what they not know?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I was realizing, how many times could you fit the word no
into a sentence?
Either or, into words.
I could get it in loads.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, that's the thing. Once you know what you know what you don't know, and knowing is important.
Wow, we could really, we could really go on here, Dave. Hey Jim, how you doing? I hope all is well, mate. Hope all is well. Thanks for joining us. I know it's Easter holidays this week, isn't it? So it might not be not everyone's on here because people are away, people on trips. Obviously, we've got a lot of people who are over in Nepal right now, actually as well over in Peru in a few days for our first Machu Picchu trip of the year. Which is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, great to see. I think, who was it? Was it Darren? 38 days to go to EBC. Wow. Darren, I hope you're excited. Those 38 days will be here before you know it, mate.
Yeah.
I bet you're really, really excited. Glyn, here we go. Glyn, can't wait for Machu Picchu next May. Great stuff, Glyn. Well, any questions around any of these trips, do let us know. Jim's off to Langtang, of course.
Yep.
We just actually had our first group of the year go to Langtang. Absolutely had some awesome pictures from it. Jim will definitely get those because we sent a photographer actually on this one just to get some really good pics. especially as they got to Kangenri, which is the highest part of the trip, and especially in terms of people they met as well. And yeah, we heard some lovely stories of that trip, and it went swimmingly actually, so it was really good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
everyone made it back.
Enjoy. Well, that's important.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. But no, yeah, they certainly just some of the highlights. They said it was just as beautiful as the Everest region, if not more. A lot of steps, so definitely prepare for the steps, Jim. Maybe compared to Everest, the Everest region. So similar maybe to the Annapurna region, there's a lot more steps built into it, and some of the days actually are quite tough. But I know you look forward to it, Jim. I say it's one of our newer trips, so it'd be great to get some pics and videos from yourself as well, just to be great to see how the journey went. So yeah, really excited for you guys. We got John, we got Stuart, great stuff. Yeah, any questions? Obviously, drop them in. We're going to talk. I know that Darren's put in about sunglasses. We will come back to that, Darren. As well. But obviously, we'll go into we're going to try and debunk some of these myths, and some of these maybe we'll go true or false because they're more like statements. But some of them are going to be probably things that you might have seen in the news, maybe things that you've heard in conversations, and then we'll discuss them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dave,
do you want to start first, or would you like me to go?
Yeah, you fire one first,
okay.
And then because I'm not sure ours are in the same order, so I can.
Mine are scattered.
Yeah, it's so yeah, you fire one at me, and then I'll fire one at you.
Okay. Well, I think one of the most important ones, and it's quite common that we get this, is it true Evertrekkers all have to have beards?
It does help. It really does help. Even if you're not entirely capable of growing one, I think even getting one from a joke shop or something like that does help. It keeps the wind and the ice and stuff off your face.
Yeah.
It makes you look older and more distinguished. And if you see something strange that you don't quite understand and you want to muse on that for a while, being able to kind of just like do that, is important.
Great stuff. And obviously, for the ladies out here, we're obviously just playing with the beards, but we always start off with a bit of humor, and we'll bring it back to the serious stuff. Okay. But yeah, beards are important.
Yep.
Hey, Bri, how you doing? Bri Harris, EBC November 2022. Oh wow, it's been a while.
Yeah. Awesome.
Dave, let's pick a serious one.
Okay.
Let's pick a serious one. I feel like we would like to start with humor.
Yeah. No. Okay. Right. Let's have a quick look at this list. I wouldn't bother going to Everest. You're just queuing all the time.
Really interesting. Well, let's debunk that myth, shall we? I think where that stems from, let's be clear, is obviously more about the summit, right?
Yeah.
Because I think of all the pictures we've seen, not saying that the Everest region is that quiet, but it is actually compared to actually a lot of the places in the UK.
Yeah.
But I think it stems from the summit pictures you see, doesn't it? I know Nims in 2019 posted that
viral picture,
and there's always been queues on Everest because, in terms of guided trips over the last 20 years. Because of the weather windows, because of that kind of stuff. Trekking industry is different though.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, we had we were chatting to Lisa Jelly, who works for the Lahara Project charity over in Namche that we hooked up with, and she told me that when she did it, she didn't have any queuing whatsoever.
Really?
She flew to the top and flew down. So I think
nice.
It's one of them. We're on Everest. It's easy to sort of get a cheap shot in on Everest and say, oh, it's just queues, and it's all that. But actually, in the trekking industry, where we go to base camp, and wherever you get a popular destination for human beings, you're going to get human beings around you. But by no means does that, mean you're going to be queuing for ages to kind of get a picture or do whatever. I actually think it's a nice thing about it is that you do get to meet people from around the world who have the same interest as you.
Yeah.
And I've never found myself in a position where I'm either queuing or annoyed or forced to be around people I didn't want to be. I think it's up to you. It's a big old area.
Yeah.
And if you want to kind of have a little moment on your own, you can kind of do that. And if you want to be with people, you can do that, So
love it. Love it. And I think, you're right there. I naturally, and again, I go to what I said at the beginning was at the expo last week. And some of the people who, maybe on the Saturday, you had kind of a bit more people who kind of knew they were there for a reason, whether to have these conversations or they're into it anyway. But on the Sunday was the people who were like, oh, why would I go to Everest? It's busy, isn't it? It's queues, right? you know, and so it's that kind of thing. And I know a lot of Evertrekkers obviously on the live today, maybe some who haven't been to that area. Well, no, it is very different. You know, obviously there's people there, as Dave said.
Yeah.
But yeah, the queue stuff is definitely not as described.
No, definitely not. I mean, and it's also one of them where if you want to go on a trip where you're not going to see anybody and you want to feel isolated, then you have to be selective of where you're going to go, because there are a few places that can do that. If you go to Everest Base Camp and you get irritated because you have to sort of wait for a couple of people to come this way on a bridge so you can cross, then arguably, you know, you've not kind of done the research. But for me, it's not a negative, because like I said before, I love meeting the people. Like I've met people from South America who are trekking there, from the States, from all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because you never would have met these people. You never would have known they exist. And all of a sudden you're in Dingboche playing snooker with this gentleman from like Chile, and it's mad. It's like, I love that randomness that the world throws at you,
isn't it?
And people by and large are great as well. You know, like I love meeting people from around the world and getting to know people and stuff like that. So it's not a negative, and you won't be queuing, and it isn't like that NIMS picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey Anthony, I hope all is well. Welcome back from Nepal. Landed back from my EBC trek yesterday. It was the best thing I've ever done. Mate. Now, great to hear, and I hope you had a good birthday out there as well. We saw some pics from some of the team as well. So yeah, well done, and huge congrats. Have a rest, and then we could talk about your next adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Bri, been to both EBC and Kili, and have never had any queues. Yeah, it's very exactly, Bri. It's surprising though how often it comes out in conversation.
Yeah.
Whether that's media driven or again, this is reason why we're talking about it. It's a bit of a myth, isn't it? But we always feel like it's important to talk about.
Yeah.
Just so people know a little bit more about what it's actually like.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a good one, Dave. That was a really good one. Younger trekkers do better than older ones.
Do you know what? This one is absolutely true, actually. Any trekker that's over 60, no, I'm joking. No,
I wonder where you're going with that then.
No, actually, age is, in my opinion, and it's an educated opinion because I've been doing this a while, is absolutely no factor in how successful you will be if you decide to go to high altitude and trek to, say, Everest Base Camp or Kilimanjaro or anything like that. I actually think sometimes, wisdom, a little bit of wisdom comes with a little bit of seniority. That means that you don't have this sort of competitive streak that a lot of the younger, more hubris people have, which means you do better at altitude. One chap that I've talked about quite a lot, Dave Balmont, I don't know if he'll be watching. I don't know if he's ever seen a Tuesday Tune-In, but I trekked with him a
few years ago.
And he was 72 when I trekked with him in 2019.
What
I admired about the guy was that he wasn't out there to win a race. He wasn't out there to prove how strong and fit he was. He was out there to see the Himalaya and experience Everest. And for me, this 72-year-old kind of embodied what Evertrek does. When you don't book with us to win a race, you don't book with us to enter an endurance contest, you book with us to have an adventure and an experience. And that's what he sort of embodied. And I remember telling me, he's like, I've cycled like Land's End to John O'Groats.
Really?
Yeah, and I've done all these runs, and I love my hiking and my trekking, but he's got no interest in being the first person to get there and stuff like that. And I actually think that, with age, you get a little bit more of that,
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to debunk that. Throw that out of the office window. Because age doesn't really matter at all. And I think you're right. Again, going from some of the conversations at the expo, some of the people were a little bit kind of mature. They didn't think they could actually do it. And when we were talking about, well, what are you doing now? And they were talking about what they were actually doing. I was thinking, well, you're not too far off needing where you're at from a fitness level, and to just go out there and do it. So it is interesting, isn't it, how people's minds work? And I know there's a lot of people on here who, they're the other side. They've been at that early stage of, can I do it? Yes, I can do it, and I'm going, and then have done it and come back. and tell the story now. Worn the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. And obviously the reason we obviously want to talk about this as well is that, obviously we will have people who maybe, in that area of, they might be thinking this. So we wanted to obviously bring that to the table around it because personally, I don't think it matters really.
No, I don't think it does.
If anything, so like you said, the older you are, the wiser you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right?
No.
Most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's exceptions, but I do think that's true. I think age, it shouldn't be a limit to wanting to go and experience an adventure,
exactly,
and live an adventurous lifestyle. So
life's too short. You got to get out there and do it. Right?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Nice.
Go
on then, Dave. Okay. What else you got? What else are you going to debunk?
Let me have a look. I've got a few here. Let's have a look. Okay. Altitude masks are really good for acclimatizing before you go on a trip.
Nah, they're pile of insert poo emoji.
Yeah.
Right here. Yeah. No, I don't. Years ago, like 6-7 years ago, I remember trialing them because right then they were advertised as altitude masks, especially on Amazon. They're not allowed to now because clearly it was misleading.
Yeah.
Really good for improving your some of your lung function, in terms of your muscles, your diaphragm muscles, which help breathing. But that's nothing to do with acclimatization. It's nothing to do with altitude. So although they may look cool, you can look a bit like Bane off Batman. I don't recommend them at all. So I think it's a pile of tosh.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely. Remember we were chatting to James from the Altitude Centre about it, and I was glad that he sort of reaffirmed that.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no science behind those masks whatsoever in terms of acclimatization.
Yeah.
And actually, any benefit you get. I mean, who has ever thought, I wish my intercostal muscles were stronger? It doesn't, like any benefit you get from wearing those masks is got to be balanced against sort of the lack of performance that you get while training with those masks. So,
true.
You can run, is it better to run, say, a mile with a mask or 5 miles without one? What's going to give you the better benefit and have the better effect physiologically on your body? And actually those masks are, like you said, a load of old crap.
Yeah, exactly. I think if we're going to sit on one side of the fence, you can clearly see where we're at when it comes to these. I think it's better, if you're thinking of acclimatization, tried and tested method, go slow, drink plenty of water, enjoy yourself. You're going to have a battle, you're going to have a challenge.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are pre-acclimatization stuff which you can do.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talked about the altitude center and that kind of stuff. But again, some of that doesn't last very long. We'd always lean on. You can do those things, but 99% of the time, in terms of all the trips that we do and the thousands of Evertrekkers we've taken to places like Summit Achilles, Machu Picchu, Everest Base Camp, Island Peak. We had Dave on here, Dave Hampson earlier. Nice to see you, Dave. Is that the tried and tested way of acclimatizing, which is the normal way, is the best way in our opinion, definitely. So really good one, Dave. I like that. I will, because I talked about altitude masks as well.
I know. That's because I've got the same list.
Viagra, any good? Does it help a high altitude? I've heard good things.
Well, I mean, there's an argument that it does help.
Yeah.
It does make things a little awkward for your tent mate.
Okay.
On Kilimanjaro. Yeah. I think there is some science behind it, but in as much as it does a similar thing to Diamox, maybe in terms of it sort of, I think it has some sort of vascular dilation, so it allows for blood flow to move around the body. I don't think it's recommended because
increases your heart rate.
And
you're trying to get that down low, right?
And I'm not sure it's a practical solution to altitude sickness. Yep. Maybe if I had a broken leg and I was suffering from AMS and I couldn't walk and I was waiting for a helicopter, then I might pop one just to kind of help. But as a practical solution to altitude sickness, I would say as a practical solution to altitude sickness, I'm not entirely certain that it's
the best remedy.
Yeah,
true, exactly, and that's why I want to do it. I know it's stiff question to ask.
Yeah, but, no, it's a hard one to get around.
Sorry, couldn't resist. It's one of those, and actually, I remember once trekking to Everest Base Camp, probably about 6 years ago, and in a store in the chemist, I think I was getting something else, and I saw Viagra being on sale, advertised as helping altitude in a chemist in Namche.
Yeah,
mad, isn't it?
I mean, I guess if people are willing to buy it. I mean, personally, like I said, I mean, I would rather maybe just have Diamox.
I think Diamox is
because
the tried and tested.
Here's the other thing that is worth thinking about: that if you do take Viagra and it doesn't work for altitude, and then you have to take Diamox, and that makes you pee a lot.
Yeah,
you're going to end up in all sorts of problems.
It's true.
Because no one wants to you're going to be peeing straight up.
So Bry's basically saying he's got to stop taking it when he goes to altitude. I think that would be the recommendation.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for 2 weeks, Bry. And then you can carry on.
Yeah.
Why not?
Awesome. So this is one I'm sure is complete tosh, but we'll find out. Maybe there's someone on the live or nearby that knows the difference. But asthma.
Okay. What's the myth?
Well, actually, I think there's two myths around asthma.
Okay.
One is that if you've got asthma, you can't go to altitude.
I like it.
And the second myth is that if you've got asthma, it means you're really good at altitude.
Two good ones.
So I'd be interested to know. Do you know anyone with asthma?
Luckily, I do.
Yeah.
And it's I think having been on both sides of that, because I know a lot of Ever trackers have been on here. No, I'm an asthmatic. I know a lot of Ever trackers who are also asthmatic. I know there's obviously varying. There's quite serious symptoms. There's people that have it well managed, and having been of the mindset before that because I had asthma I couldn't do it. I certainly realized and debunked that myth when I got to altitude and actually back from Everest Base Camp and realized actually the breathing was the same. It just got a little bit harder when we went kind of uphill a little bit. Exactly. Heather's put there. Hey Heather, how are you? Nims has asthma. Exactly. It's quite common, isn't it? And on the other side of, and I see why they say it is, people with asthma do well at altitude. I've heard that a lot as well, and smokers, believe it or not. It's one of those that because your body is what?
Sorry, Jackie Bradley has just given us quite an image there.
Wow.
I just finished my last shit at work. Now I've got to go packing to fly out Thursday.
I can imagine that
nice,
slight
Jackie.
spelling mistake, but
or is it?
I don't know.
Maybe she's like,
Jackie,
maybe I've got to nip to work quick, just to sort this out, and then I can start packing. That is amazing. Sorry, Andy. That cracked me up. Carry on.
Sorry, Jackie. We'll try and keep it clean.
Yeah.
But no, we're going back to the asthma stuff. Yeah, it is one of those that there is some science out there that we've, and even speaking to the guys at the Altitude Center, because your asthmatic people's lungs are used to dealing with a low oxygen environment, or maximizing the air that comes in, it does help for altitude. So there's a couple of things there. One, asthmatics can go to altitude and are fine, as long as you manage it like you would do at sea level. Have your medication, any of your inhalers, that kind of stuff. Wear a buff to protect it from dust and allergies if that's what triggers it. Try and keep it as warm as you can because obviously the cold can trigger it. So whatever your triggers are, treat it the same at altitude as you would at sea level. I'd like to say that is well and truly debunked.
100%.
I like it. I could have asthma in there as well.
Again, same list.
It's a good
I've copied your list.
I can see that.
Yeah.
No. Okay, it's actually quite a good one. I know around fitness, and we've had that some people have said, doesn't matter how fit you are. At altitude. Myth? Or maybe they were trying to say it a different way.
Yeah, I would say it doesn't matter how fit you are.
Okay.
Is an incorrect statement. I think it does matter how fit you are. But there's nuances. So some people have a tendency to think in extremes, and we all do this when we think about our fitness. We're either very fit or completely unfit. That's the majority of people who I speak to fall into those two categories. Very few people, it does happen, ring up and say, yeah, I'm a little bit fit. You know, like I can get by. And I think one of the myths about fitness is that it doesn't matter how fit you are, altitude sickness can affect anyone. And this one is both true and untrue. Yeah. So it is true, altitude sickness can affect anyone, no matter how fit you are. What I always add on the end of that is, however, the fitter you are, the less likely you are to have altitude sickness.
I like it. Yeah.
Because it's true that certain things do contribute towards you getting altitude sickness. So overexertion, that affects your recovery. So you're starting the next day exhausted. Generally speaking, you'll be working a lot harder. You'll be running hotter. You'll be sweating more. You'll need to drink more. There's so many more things if you are overexerting yourself on every effort.
Yeah.
Where if you're fit and you're trekking within your ability, generally speaking, your recovery is going to be a lot better, a lot long. You know, you're going to be starting the day fresher. You're not going to be managing injuries. You're going to be on top of your hydration. So yes, being fitter does help prevent altitude sickness. It's just not a total prevention. So what I always say to people is, you know, do you have to be super fit? Do you have to be NIMS in order to get to base camp? No, you don't have to be there with your shirt off lifting rocks over your head. But do something because it all helps. It all gives you a little boost, you know. And the people who I've seen who have rolled off the sofa and got to base camp, yes, they did the trip, but they were a bit battered. The people who did, you know, a month, 2 months, 3 months of training and some walking, they got to base camp and they were a little more high-fivey. You know,
a little bit more energy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Agreed. Okay. That was mine, actually. What's yours?
So we've got quite a few here.
I know.
So I've written a couple down that I think are not on your list, just because I was conscious I didn't want to fire ones you knew the answer to.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna. Let's have a quick look. I don't actually know what I've written there. I can't even read my own writing. Okay, smokers do well at altitude.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'd say it's a difficult one to debunk, although some smokers I've seen, I obviously not being a smoker myself, but I've seen people smoke out there and actually they're fine.
Yeah.
And actually a lot of the locals do,
don't
they? I know we're talking about Nepal here, but I've seen it in other countries as well, at altitude, and they're just fine.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's one of those where it's kind of similar to the asthma thing.
Okay.
But you know, obviously very different. And if you're an asthmatic, perhaps you shouldn't smoke, but
definitely,
it's more to
smoking is good for everyone.
It's you know, because I remember someone saying, "Oh yeah, smokers do really well at altitude," and I was thinking, I don't think that's true.
It's not a time to start.
Yeah, You know? But at the same time, if you are a smoker and you do want to go to Everest Base Camp or Kilimanjaro, it's, you know, if you're doing some training and you're doing all of that and you're smoking, you account for that in your everyday life.
Yeah.
So whilst I would encourage you absolutely to try and quit, don't not do a trip because, you know, someone's told you, you know, you'll die if you smoke.
Yeah.
Or equally, don't think you're going to be Superman because you smoke, because you're used to the lower oxygen in your body or something like that.
Yeah, I like it. The next one is actually it's a biggie. EBC, Everest Base Camp's full of rubbish.
I've never seen it actually, because I've always been up to here in like plastic bottles. So once you've waded through them, myth.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with myth, untrue. I'm lucky enough to have been to Everest Base Camp 4 times. You've been 5 times, and I can genuinely say that as far as rubbish and trash, it is nothing like what you will read in the news articles. Again, I think this is due to the blurring of lines between Everest, the peak,
which isn't great.
And you know what? If someone says to me, "Yo, I want to climb Everest, but I'm worried about the rubbish," then I'll say, totally legitimate argument.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the pictures of Camp 4, it is a shambles and a disgrace.
I was going to say something else.
Yeah. You thought I was going to say it's a poo hole.
I did.
Yeah. No, it is a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. And the operators that are on there need to do better.
Definitely.
Now, I'm not pretending I have a solution for that, but it is ridiculous. I saw that empty packets of bag rubber. But I mean, you'll see the odd wrapper, the odd you know, bottle perhaps, because anywhere where you see human beings, you will see evidence of human beings.
Unfortunately, yeah.
You know, you know, but then if you've got Penavan, I'll find you some trash. If you've got a Snowdon or Ben Nevis, I'll find you some. You know, it's not possible to completely eliminate it.
Yeah.
What I will say is that it shouldn't deter anyone from going because it's nowhere near as bad as they think it is.
Yeah.
But also be an example of someone that actually picks up some of the rubbish when you're there. And, you know, have someone else not do that and see you and think to yourself, do you know what? Fair play. I'm going to do that too. And set an example because
well, I'd say. Yeah.
I think it's a really good.
And it brings to the point as well, like it's not as bad as what people say.
Yeah.
But like you said, if you're there and you can help in some way, like obviously you got the Carry Me Back campaign, that you can carry some rubbish down. If you're trekking to Everest Base Camp, you're walking back. Lots of people get involved in that. There's obviously the other sustainable practices in the area. Obviously with us, we try and reduce buying of plastic water as much as possible because we have water filters. There are some places like Gorakshep where there's no running water. The only option really is to buy plastic bottles. But yeah, I certainly that for me was a big one because I remember again last week going back to the expo, quite a few people mentioned that. They were like, "Oh, is there rubbish Everest Base Camp?" And then obviously the same. You know, you just try and educate them. You don't. It's always that thing. You don't say no. Sorry, you're wrong. You know, there's always a way to talk about it and say, look, completely appreciate. You know, you've probably seen that on the news, but having been there and having taken a lot of Evertrekkers there, this is actually what it's like.
Exactly, yeah. And you know, if you're a high altitude enthusiast and you have an interest in the Himalaya, you'll know the answer is no, it's not full of rubbish. But what we really want to do is encourage people who have a casual interest, because what I want to do, I want to spread this adventurous lifestyle. I want to get more people to the Himalayas, and if you're going to do that, you're going to drop into that category of people who are, I'm kind of interested, but isn't it full of rubbish? And those people you can help,
exactly,
and then they can help the next person.
Which are valid reasons, you know, because if that's what you're seeing and that's what you're hearing, I'm not surprised.
Exactly.
Chris is on it. Empty packets of Viagra everywhere, and there's considering the McCaff at base camp.
Yeah,
that would be weird. That would be weird if we got there and it was like that.
Here's the question.
Chris is on it today.
Would you be happy if there was a cafe at base camp?
I'd be very unhappy.
Would you buy something if you got there though?
If I was hungry.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I was thinking the same thing because I was thinking, do you know what? I would protest. I would be furious. And if I lost the boat and it was built, well, I got a frap. I'd
be sad that day.
I think I'd boycott and not use it. Although I would be gutted if I saw someone.
I would. And I know we're obviously laughing and joking around rubbish and McCaffs and stuff, but it is a serious thing, isn't it? You know, around, you know, we obviously want to make that region, Nepal, and anywhere we go, as you know, keep it as though what it's like when we get there. We don't want to change it in any way because then it's for just as nice for the next person to go there and see those awesome things. And obviously, the more we can do, the better. And I know, obviously, we're having a joke and a laugh around it, but I suppose it's just bringing the conversation to the table, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it's an important one.
All right, here's one hand.
Yes.
When you're trekking at high altitude, you don't have to worry about the sun on a cloudy day.
Okay, I like that one. Yeah, that's definitely a myth. I think, because at high altitude, it's, you know, when you're higher up, you know, the UV, you feel the UV rays more. You know, I know someone mentioned about glasses. You know, we may as well actually discuss that now whilst talking about these. I think they were asking about category 3, category 4. I think it was Darren. For EBC in May. And I suppose just to give us some context. When you're at high altitude, you will feel the sun a lot more, even on cloudy days. So make sure you do bring some decent sun cream. Lots of people wear hats. Dave likes to wear his kind of bowl hat, or you can wear caps, whatever helps. Bucket hat. Bowl hat. What the hell is that?
I do.
That's weird.
It's like a bowler hat, I think. I mean,
I think that wouldn't cover much of your head at all. Yeah, definitely. So anytime, you know, you're near ice or snow, you know, it's a reflective surface, you're going to start to feel it. I mean, I know me, I only got to look at the sun, I'm red. And, you know, I come back and I have a bit of color.
Do we have that picture on there?
Luckily, that's not on there, Dave.
Yeah, no, okay, because that's hilarious.
But yeah, you can get a bit lobstered But yeah, just to answer the question as well around the category 3 or 4, I'm sure you get away with category 3, but I'd take 4. Category 4 sunnies are definitely highly recommended. Just that you want to look after your eyes out there. You'll be feeling it really if you have glasses that aren't that good. You can't put a price on sight. So yeah, get as good sunglasses as you can. But yeah, definitely around the UV rays, and it doesn't happen on cloudy days, I'd say.
Yeah, no, yeah,
That's debunk that one.
100% you can still get, burnt. And the other thing is, you can get heat, the UV rays as well. If you've read John Krakauer's Into Thin Air, he's talking about it on his trek up to base camp, where he didn't protect his head from the stronger UV rays at high altitude, and he kind of got a bit of heat exhaustion and nausea and stuff like that because of it, which you would never normally get in an equal temperature at sea level. So yeah, definitely something to look out for, particularly if you're going to Toubkal as well in the summer, particularly. I mean, we went in April, which is a winter ascent, but it was still 37 degrees on the trek up to the refuge.
It was warm.
Yeah, absolutely nightmarish. And when I was skiing recently as well, we had a couple of boiling hot days.
Yeah.
And that's when I think, you're right, the category 4 comes into it, because if you don't protect your eyes, and I don't think I've done it, because in certain lights I get those like streamers in your eyes, that kind of like move around, and I think that's made worse because of bright sun.
I love prize. The fact that I will never win a Never Trek competition is a myth. It has to happen one day. Agreed to scratch that off. We were going to bring that up.
Yeah, no.
I think we need to write that off now.
Yeah. So Bri will win a competition one day.
Well done, Bri. Anyone that does have any subjects around anything around the mountains that's a myth, or maybe we want to discuss it and we'll chat, is a myth or is actually true. Post it in the comments. It'd be interesting to see if there's anything on your mind. That me and Dave can tackle today. Anthony mentioned there, I got burnt, scabby lips. Mate, happened. I remember when I was on Toubkal last year, year before last, and the same. Just you forget the lips, don't you? I mean, it's good to have. There are some lip balms or other things you can actually wear on your lips. Yeah, don't forget the lips, because I remember. I was burnt for days. It was horrible.
I remember when we were in again. It was skiing in Andorra. And the temperature was hot, and I burnt my lips. Remember we went for a Thai green curry then later on that evening,
stinger,
and I had to try and suck on ice and cold water because the lips are on fire. And that did not make for a comfortable experience.
I'm going to swing over to completely different mountain. Kilimanjaro. Is it full of celebs? I've heard a lot of celebs climb Kili.
If there is, I've never seen any. I remember Chris Moyles did it for charity one year, didn't he? And I think Cheryl Tweedy, Cole, Fernandez.
She changed her name.
Sheza. She did. I think she got malaria as well.
Really?
From that trip, yeah.
Wow.
Ross Kemp, I think, also got malaria.
Ross Kemp on Gangs.
Yeah. Ross Kemp on Gangs.
I used to watch that all the time.
Yeah, it was great, yeah.
Rather than EastEnders.
No, yeah, it was great. I used to enjoy a bit of Ross Kemp. And he used to do... it moved from gangs, then he would go to dangerous places.
He likes good danger, doesn't he?
Yeah. But not that I'm aware of. No, certainly a lot of charity climbs are happening though. At any one time, you've got multiple groups of people, and the whole businesses are set up in order to facilitate people who want to raise money for charity by going to Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro. It's exactly, and I think definitely there are. Oh,
I had to get it out. I've been holding it in for a while now, and it's getting I'm getting preoccupied with the idea that I got this yawn.
It's like your altitude. You want to get some more oxygen.
Oh, mate! Do you know what it is? It's I had such a refreshing, really nice Easter break.
Yeah.
And then I think I had about 4 hours sleep last night. It's mad.
But yeah, really good. There might be celebs on Kili.
Yeah.
There have been plenty in the past, because it's popular. Like you said, it's a big charity.
Yeah.
Big charity mountain. A lot of people get up there for charity, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Good on you if you're doing it, because it's a heck of a challenge.
Yep. Next one then. This is for you, and
okay.
You don't know about this one. Taller people are more likely to get high altitude sickness.
I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I think it's a myth. I think the height difference isn't that much that it'll actually affect you in real terms for altitude. I think the only problem is it's windy. If it's windy, I think there's more chance of you getting blown over.
Yeah. So if you're tall, compensate with heavy boots.
Heavy boots and a heavy bag.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I think because, generally I'd say the one thing that will stop you, regardless of how tall or small you are, and regardless of your height, is just the speed.
Yeah.
That is the only thing really, and the hydration that'll affect the altitude.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a complete myth. Let's just get rid of that.
Yeah, I don't know if I invented that myth or not, but I thought about it earlier.
That's quite good, actually.
Yeah. The only thing I've got to make.
I'm sure it's a common one.
6'7". And if he stands up too quick, he gets dizzier. More.
Wow.
Just stand up slower, I guess.
As you say, learn to travel.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Interesting. You have to compensate for a longer sleeping bag, that sort of thing. But yeah.
Right, I know we got 20 minutes left. I've got a couple here. Let's have a little look. So garlic not only keeps off the vampires, but it keeps away altitude too.
Do you know what? I'm gonna say this is a tricky one, right? Because I don't think there's any science at all around garlic preventing high altitude sickness. Okay. However, if you go to Nepal, they will tell you that it's absolutely the case.
Garlic soup.
And my thing is though, right, that it does help in as much as anything other that's really nice helps.
True.
Because if you're feeling not 100% at altitude and you have the garlic soup is stunning, it's tasty.
Yeah.
It tastes very different from the usual stuff that you're having.
Yeah.
You're getting a bit of fluid in you, you're getting a bit of food in you. That's going to help, right? But what I am cautious of is that when I first trekked to Everest Base Camp with my friend Billy, and he was suffering from the altitude, our guide at the time brought like a little plastic bag with 4 garlic cloves and told him to keep it in a pocket next to his heart. And all it meant is that he was quite pungent. But
at least you can smell it when you know when he's close.
And I kept saying to him, like, is it worked? And he was like, well, I don't know. I was like, what do you mean you don't know? And he was like, well, I'm not dead. And I was like, true. So he did have some altitude issues. He did carry garlic in his pocket, and he did make it back down. So there's an argument that I guess it works.
And I think there are proven, garlic, as Heather's put there, it can help in certain ways. It's a bit of an anti-inflammatory, isn't it? There are things around it, and I think sometimes, even if it's psychological, someone's telling you this helps, and it's someone you trust, and you're also in a situation where you haven't been there before. Psychologically, you're almost going to be, oh yeah, actually, this helps. I'm going to have some more of this, and then you have it 3 or 4 times. Even if it helps you 1%, it helps.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, like, I'll be honest, I always smash down some garlic soup.
Yeah.
When I'm trekking, I missed it on Kilimanjaro because we didn't have it.
Yeah, and Andrew said no one bit his neck, as in he's talking about. So there's no injury, no puncture wounds. He kept away the vampires.
Not that I'm aware of. I did wake up one day with like a little something there, and the sun was a bit bright the next day, and Zach's cross was like, I was like, shiny. But other than that, though, no, all good.
Brilliant. What else we got? Because actually, just stop you there. We had a couple from the Ever Trackers. Actually, we had one from Andrew. You can survive without a shower. Myth? Or true?
No, it's true. You can survive without a shower. So as long as your roommate doesn't kill you.
Okay.
I think that it's one of those. You certainly won't shower as often. So there's that. When you're on Kilimanjaro, you won't shower at all. You can use wet wipes. I'll be honest with you, after about 2 days, I sacked it off completely. Because what happens on Kilimanjaro is you go in the tent and you think, I'm gonna have a little wash. And I remember one time having a wash with the wet wipes, and then as soon as you move or touch anything, you're not only dirty again, but you're also very sticky. So everything sticks to you. So after a while, I was like, do you know what? A bit of roll-on deodorant in the main danger zones, and you're covered.
Danger zones. It's a good point, though, isn't it? And it brings up a good subject around, look, everyone's in the same boat generally. You do get some people that, they're like, even though we say guides might say, look, don't have a cold shower because your core temperature will drop and you could catch cold, that kind of stuff. But some people do, and it can work.
Yeah.
But generally, everyone smells and looks the same.
Yeah.
And then when you get to Hotel Aloft in Kathmandu, or you get down to Moshi, or you get down to Cusco, wherever you are in the world, that first shower is one of the best things in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Really good one though. Really good.
Is it true they're talking about building a cable car to the top of Kilimanjaro?
No, it is a myth. They have, and again, seen it in the news. What they're doing is they potentially might build one that takes you to the a little bit up on Kili, similar to like some of the roads. So the roads that take you to the starter gate, is that actually they'll take you up to one of the camps. So potentially, nothing's been agreed, nothing's been built yet. It's just an idea. There's always these ideas that come along. Personally, I think they should just leave it alone. Keep the mountain as it is.
Yeah.
But certain people want to take it. What do you think, Dave?
I think it's pointless, to be honest. I mean, I also think that realistically, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I think that it's a massive engineering feat for Tanzania to be able to make a cable car that goes to the top. Also, you imagine like the weather that you get up there, and also the risk. Cable cars have to stop and break down and all sorts of stuff. So imagine you get in one and then you go up to nearly at the summit, so not far off 6,000 meters, and then it stops and you have to hang around there for 2 hours before they fix it again.
It's dodgy.
It's not great. So I reckon, rubbish. Yeah, I don't think it'll ever happen. I'm sure people have talked about it, but probably only to get people talking about Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, but usually these things do come back, don't they?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, Bry's right as well. Just going back to the shower stuff. On Kili, they bring you bowls of hot water to your tents.
Yeah,
they do. To have a little wash and which can take the edge off a bit, make you feel a little bit cleaner than you did before.
Yeah.
Although Andy mentions you'll need more than one shower when you get back to your hotel. True, that is very true. And Andy, not long now until your next trip, mate. He's going back. He's going back to the mountain.
Here's one, and
okay.
Signs that mark a point are better than no signs.
I wonder though, I was thinking signs. Is this like symptoms?
No,
aliens?
like signposts that mark a point on the landscape are better than no signs.
I can see where you're going with this. Yeah, I mean, I know we discussed it a little bit last week. I mean, personally, if it's a directional sign, if it's providing navigation, I like it. If it has distances on it, if it has place names, I'm good for that. I'm not big on signs in certain places. I know there's obviously a new one at Everest Base Camp. There's obviously.
I just like signs, like talking about it.
There's obviously the one on Kili, which is like synonymous with Kili, isn't it? Everyone knows that the Kili sign. And I think it has a place there. I just think there's, obviously the one at Everest Base Camp is there now. It might be getting moved. But sometimes I think going to certain mountains, I like to see it in all its rugged glory, and that's as it should be, as nature wanted it. But I suppose having a sign there is marking a location. It's not a bad thing, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I mean that's my opinion on it. I mean, there's a lot that the new sign at base camp has caught a lot of heat.
It has, yeah, a lot of energy around that one. Yeah.
My argument again is that anywhere you go, which is going to be a popular destination for people, there's going to be signs that people have been there, and people do love to have a spot to take pictures.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't see anything wrong with it aside from it's better than a spray painted rock in my opinion. It's just a sign, I guess, at the end of the day, and one thing I always say is base camp just gives you a convenient excuse to trek for 11 days through the Himalaya. And if you don't want a picture of the sign, just move ahead of the sign.
I remember the first time I went there, it was literally just a pile of stones. There was no marker rock, there was no all that stuff. And I suppose because my mind keeps it as that. But you're right, it's about the journey to get there, really. The hour or so, or whatever, however long you spend. I'm hungry. Yeah. I'm fasting today.
Yeah. I do.
You know, there are exactly, and Andrew mentions there are other areas, other base camps that are marked with signs and have been there for years. So it's not too bad.
Yeah,
not too bad thing. You know, naturally, nature will have its way with those signs and make them look a bit rugged. They tend to look and feel like they should belong there. Yeah. The newer ones tend to stick out, don't they?
Yeah, if it was me, I probably would have made like a massive cairn.
Yeah,
rocks,
that would have been good.
Covered it in prayer flags and stuff like that. That's probably what I would have done. But then, you know, some Egypt will come along and spray paint Everest Base Camp on it or something. Exactly. But generally, people leave cairns alone. So if you see a big cairn, generally people leave them alone. That's sort of universal. So if it were me, that's what I would have done. Like a big, huge cairn, like a massive one.
And I think whatever was there at the time you go, whether it's spray painted rock, whether it's a sign, whether there's nothing, it's great. You've got there. You've made it. Whatever it is, you know, and because I've seen a lot of comments around if someone's posted a picture of, say, them getting there, but actually everyone was just talking about the sign, not about their achievement.
Yeah.
Which, you know, takes a little bit of kind of glean away from it. And I think we don't want to forget we're traveling to a place that is challenging. It's hard. Just remember that. That's the memory there, and the people you meet, and you know, the guides and the food and the culture side of it is awesome.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, I was even thinking about the spray painted rock, you know, like how ugly I found it, and I was a bit annoyed. I was less annoyed about the spray painted rock as I was the names that people put on either side of it.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
that bugged me more. Because the spray painted rock, although it's not like a natural feature beyond its rockiness, but I don't know. Everyone still gets a picture there.
They do.
You know, so like I don't think it's the be all and end all. It's a funny thing with base camp, you know.
Right, I've got one more left. Actually, I've got two, but I think one really. I know you've got a lot of.
I made a couple more. Yeah,
you've done really well. So this one probably a bit obvious to everyone on here, but I've got altitude and struggling. Just push on, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's true. So I think if you've got altitude sickness, one of the worst things you can do is tell your guide about it, and because they'll turn you around. Sorry, that's a myth. Yeah, no, 100%.
I was wondering then.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think the worst thing you can do is sort of ignore the symptoms and go along.
Yeah.
Ignorance isn't bliss when it comes to sort of high altitude. What's happening is going to happen, and ignoring it is only going to make it worse or prolong it. And also, having symptoms of altitude sickness doesn't immediately mean that you join Chopper Club and get sent down the mountain. You know, it's very manageable if managed. If you leave it too long, that's unmanaged, and then it often gets to a point where it's like, you know what, you have to go back. However, if you'd have spoken up 2 or 3 days earlier, they could have like maybe hydrated, maybe put some Diamox in you, you know, slowed the pace down. There's lots of different things that can be done. So talk to your guides, talk to your sort of the group, talk to your friends, do what you've got to do in order to keep yourself going. I mean, it's like when you've got a car, right, and it starts making an odd noise. You can do two things. You can ignore it and it's going to break down at some point, or you can just get on top of it right now and save yourself a load of money and trouble. You treat yourself like you are a machine when you're up there, you know, and quite often if something starts happening, it's a smaller fix than if you ignore it.
Love it. Yeah, really good. I think bang on there. Don't ignore it. Don't crack on. Do something about it.
Yep.
You know, speak to your guide. You know, work out the best way to go on. And sometimes, you know, you get these altitude issues and these symptoms. It's just your body acclimatizing.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
You know, that's why lots of the trips that we do, we kind of, you know, try and make them as long as we can and choose a profile that helps. It's not always possible because of where you are. Like certain places, like in Ecuador, you know, in certain places in the Himalayas, it's hard because there's only one way to go.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Brian makes a good point. If the bar in a loft runs out of beer, is it a myth that they have to shut? Or they magic some more up from somewhere?
I think it's I think it's only nearly happened on one or two occasions.
Yeah, I think other people stayed there.
Yeah, my experience is that somehow, some way, beer finds its way to the people that need it.
Like Jurassic Park, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Life will find a way.
Yeah, I like it.
Here's one, and in order to trek to Everest Base Camp, you need to pack everything and the kitchen sink.
Ooh. Yeah, it's definitely a myth.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, and I know we touched on this last week, is that you'd be surprised by how little you need on a trip, or you'll take loads, but you only use probably like 60% of it. And you'll be like, oh yeah, I've got clean socks, I've got clean this, I've got clean that. And you realize you don't actually need it all. You know, it's always good though, and I know we give a lot of lists, and you know, there's a lot in there. It's just actually what you use, because some bits, you know, it depends on weather as well. Like for instance, you'll take a bunch of waterproofs, then it doesn't rain, but you just carry them the whole bloody way.
Yeah.
But obviously, if it does rain, you'll need them. So there's that part of it. But you're right. I think you realise that. I think the more often you said last week, the more times you've gone, you've always taken less and less.
Yeah, because you realise that, you know, I get why people struggle to match the 15 kilograms, or when they hear 7 kilograms for Machu Picchu, they have a heart attack because it's not much at all. But you don't need much at all.
Yeah.
You know, some people they have a heavy fleece and like a lighter fleece, and they're like, oh, but if it's cold but not that cold, I'll wear that one. But and I'm just thinking, no, just take one. That's all you need. You know, and there's your stomach going again.
It's just going to be constant now.
I thought it was a train.
That's over there.
Yeah, it started now. You're making me feel hungry now, I think. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it can be done. And it's part of the challenge, you know, that, you know, you can't sort of go to these places and, you know, as my dad would say, have it all your own way.
You know,
so
love it. Well, look, I feel like we've covered a lot of myths there. Hopefully, that's some of the ones that you would have thought as well. I know it's a little bit of, exactly. Andy's right, like pizza time.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely need some grub. No, it's been interesting. I know it's a little bit different than what we normally do, but we thought, well, we got all these things. We got all these things we'd like to talk about, all these different themes, and all these things that, you know, we've heard over the last couple of weeks from people, and we're like, let's talk about them. Are they real or are they not? Are they myths?
Yeah. Plus, Zach is going to be able to chop this episode up into lots of little bite-sized chunks. And,
he will
use them, you know. So yeah,
exactly. But no, thanks very much. I hope you've enjoyed today. I know it's Easter, so it's a little bit quieter than normal. But yeah, have a you know, really good kind of rest of the week. I know a lot of people you know, are off because half term. I know it's half term as end of term, but it's Easter holidays for us in Wales. I know it's similar in Scotland and England. I'm not sure if it's coming to the end now, but yeah, enjoy whatever time off you have. Yeah, we'll be back next week.
Yeah, I say so. Yeah, next Tuesday, 12:30, same 12:30. Yeti time, same Yeti channel.
Any final myth?
It's a myth that if you tune into the Tuesday tune in, you'll start to grow a beard. That's not true.
No, you already have one.
So, or you should have anyway. Yeah,
only joking. All right, see you next week, everyone.
Take it easy. Bye.